So for people who are just starting out and don't like reading the P&L, they look at this thing and they see this sea of numbers, and they do walk away after spending however much time looking at it, sometimes several minutes or sometimes a couple of hours, and they walk away and they go, I have no idea what we were looking at. I help folks break things into basically four categories. And one of those ways we do that is differentiating between high influence and low influence. So high influence would be something like labor. We can do a lot about labor expenses. Low influence would be something like our B&O tax. As much as you dislike it, you can't do anything about your B&O tax. It's going to be there. It's an expense that can't go away. So understanding the difference between expenses I can influence, I can do a lot about, or not, that's a critical things that people can help them start sorting out which things on the P&L to really pay attention to, and which ones, as much as you don't like them, you can't do anything about it, so why spend a lot of time looking at it. The second category is high impact versus low impact. So for example, labor, again, would be a good example of a high impact expense for most service industries. Most service industries, labor is going to be somewhere between 25 and 50% of all the expenses that they're going to have. So that would be a high impact thing. It matters a lot. It has a big impact on the bottom line if you're doing well in this category or not. A low impact thing might be for some industries something like office expenses. If you spend $67 a month or $367 a month on office expenses on a multi-million-dollar company, that's not a big deal. So just trying to develop an idea of like which quadrant, having those two axes, which quadrant am I in? Am I in high impact, high influence? Means this matters a lot to the P&L and there's a lot I can do about it. Those are things we want to focus on versus low impact, low influence. Again, for some companies, it might be something like office expenses where you don't spend a lot of money. If you're really, really good at it, you were a 10 out of 10 and nailing this, it's still not going to make a big difference on your P&L. And you have these expenses like, they're not a big dollar amount and there's not much you can do about it. You have to have paper. Again, B&O tax is a great example. It's not generally many thousands of dollars and you can't do much about it. It's generally, a few $100 a month and there's not much you can do about it. That would be something I would consider low impact and low influence versus something like labor or job materials. Those are high impact, they mean a lot, and there's a lot you can do about it. So just learning to focus in the beginning on high impact, high influence items only is a great way to kind of get yourself immersed in reading the P&L without taking on this big, huge sea of numbers that's completely overwhelming.